today's video I wanted to talk about Fujimura. Fujimura is a legendary fighting games player. Played in Street Fighter V, legendary player. I'm sure I'm gonna have to look up some clips to see if he played Street Fighter 4, but he was a legendary player in Street Fighter V. He played Ibuki, and he was one of my favorite players. I loved watching him. Still is one of my favorite players. I don't know if he's active now, but I wanted to tell a story about how I wouldn't really call it trolling, but like I was in his streams a lot trying to like get him to play Ibuki again, because he's one of those players that got into the new era of the game where like everyone was playing this top tier new Luke player. Like Luke was added to Street Fighter V, and he's one of the victims of Lukeovitis, I guess. I don't know if there's a name for it, but like so basically he switched off and he like went to go play Luke, and we just lost a lot of good talent. Unfortunately, we lost a lot of good talent in the like people lost a lot of individually, because even Punk, like he was a Karen player, but he switched to Luke. A lot of people like only certain people like stayed true to their main character. And it was kind of sad. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about what happened. How I tried to convince him to stick with Ibuki. And it's a story that I've never told. This goes back like 2 years ago, and it's a story that I've never told anybody, but I think it'll be fun to tell now. So that's me right there. I would send in like these different Ibuki emojis, and the funny thing is, like I said, he didn't actually have these emojis in the stream. I actually had to sub to Shine, who was an Ibuki player, and I had to get the emojis from him just so I can like send him, just so I can like pop up. And so I actually didn't even really, I wasn't really a fan of Shine. Nothing against Shine, but like I was subscribed to him just so I could use his emojis for Ibuki in Fujimura's stream, so I could like send out, hey, Ibuki, don't forget about Ibuki, don't forget, basically that's what I was doing. And I would always ask him, I'd be like, hey, no Ibuki today? And he'd be like, no Ibuki. And I'd be like, ah. So you can see like the comment right here, ah. Like I would do this like so many times. Like I've done this like at least maybe 4 times or so. Like I would come into a stream and I'd be like, when is Ibuki? Like Ibuki, I'd be like, I'd just ask him all these questions about Ibuki to try to see if he would maybe budge and like maybe play some Ibuki for us. But it never happened, unfortunately. But let's continue. But he was such a godlike Ibuki player. Like he won tournaments. He was. It was just really sad to see that. Oh, by the way, that's not him playing Ibuki. He's the Luke player, by the way. So I don't want anyone to get confused. So when I saw an Ibuki show up in his chat, I was like, hey, there we go, Ibuki. So just for clarification. So just for clarification, he is actually not playing Ibuki. It's actually I should have clarified that earlier. He's actually the Luke player. Ibuki is just like that's his main character. That's the character that he played with his whole life on the right. The whole life of Street Fighter V. I mean. And then I'm gonna get into his explanation of why he doesn't play with Ibuki. Okay, so you're going to see it. He's going to answer the question right now after this. Or soon, I should say. No DP. Nice block.
I know Ibuki.
Here it is.
Ibuki is not strong.
So just to clarify, he's going to explain. He's a Japanese player. I had no idea he even spoke English, so I don't even know why I was necessarily asking, because I just didn't think he spoke English. But the fact that he answered me in English was pretty impressive. Like, he knows more English than he gets credit for.
He needs mix up. that is too random. So I don't like it.
Trailer Park.
So just to clarify on what he said, like I said, this was like about 2 years ago. Just to clarify what he said he doesn't like Ibuki. Ibuki's too much of a mix-up character, and he doesn't like that. And I understand what he's saying. You know, if you have a character like Luke, who's top tier, he was the best character in the game, and he was one of the new characters. Obviously, a lot of people just, you know, traded their characters in for Luke. But what he was saying basically is, you know, that Ibuki was too heavily reliant on mix-ups. You know, if someone guesses right, then what good is she? But and I'm paraphrasing, obviously, and I'm, you know, thankful for his admission on this, but I have a whole video on like why characters should stick with their main characters. But it's a choice that a lot of pros make. But I still think that a lot of pro characters are better with a character that they played for years. Even if you put a pro character, like if you give them a top tier character, that sometimes I've seen it so many times in tournaments. Like you saw Idom, I did a video on this, and I'm gonna link it, where Idom, Kawano, there's a lot of players that stuck with their characters towards the end of Street Fighter V, even though their characters got nerfed, and they were like the 2 finalists in EVO. I promise you, I kid you not. Like I did a video on that. They were the 2 finalists in EVO. The characters that stuck, the 2 pro players that stuck with their characters to the end, were the 2 finalists in the last EVO. Unbelievable. So even though the characters weren't as good, so the characters basically that kind of sold out for Luke, they weren't really doing anything anymore. Like the same thing happened to Punk, for example. Even though Punk won a championship with Karen, or okay, he didn't quite win it, but he went to like 2 grand finals with Karen, and you saw the same thing with Fujimura. Fujimura won the Red Bull Kumite with Ibuki, but you know, sometimes that's just how it goes. Ooh. So you see my reaction right there. I said, okay. You know, my typical reaction at the bottom of the screen. And then I went ahead and left a subscription for him.
なんと V トリガーが売ってるんです
I
よ。
left a tier 1 sub for him as a little gift, you know, my appreciation. Not really much, but...
Wake up the sweep. Thank you. Thank you for subscribe.
His English is much better than, you know, people give him credit for. So I'm actually pretty impressed, you know. Pretty impressed by him, just in general. One of my favorite fighting game players ever, and I just missed the individuality in you know, in Street Fighter V. It was just so much fun. Even in Street Fighter 4 was a lot of fun, and like I said, I'm not really into Street Fighter 6, but maybe one day I'll get into it when they, you know, if they improve some of the mechanics that are overpowered. But anyway, guys, you know, I'd love to get your thoughts in the comments below. It was a cool experience, you know, getting to kind of talk with him a little bit, and catch you guys in the next video. Peace.